So, a giant crater right in the middle of the cold permafrost of Siberia has been getting wider and wider for several decades, maybe centuries, we don't know. It looks like the doorway to the underworld, but its official name is the Batagay megaslump. It's like the Grand Canyon in cold conditions, which is getting bigger and bigger. Siberia is a rather harsh and gloomy region. Cold weather, endless dark forest with dangerous wild nature, no civilization around, and now we have this. Imagine that you live there in a dense forest in a small wooden house with a fireplace. And then suddenly, a giant pit starts crawling toward your house. It doesn't stop. It doesn't grow smaller. It just absorbs everything in its path. Trees, ground, bushes, bird nests, everything falls in there. What is it? The Batagay megaslump appeared after the collapse of a slope of the Yana Highlands. When the rock crashed, it exposed layers of permafrost on the remaining part of the slope. People first noticed it in 1991 with the help of a satellite. But who knows how long ago it appeared there? This ice sheet has been untouched for about 650,000 years, and now it has awakened and started to melt and grow continuously. Even scientists claim that this natural phenomenon, which looks like a giant manta ray, is expanding too fast. During the collapse, ice and sedimentary rocks melted in huge quantities. According to calculations, this mass was 14 times the mass of the Great Pyramid of Giza. In recent years, the rate of collapse of head walls ranged from 16 to 49 feet per year. And the total mass of the bowl-shaped retrogressive, aka RTS, is… Wait, what is RTS? This is a term that recognizes the crumbling relief of the bowl-shaped form. It can be erosion, ground collapse, rock deepening, and the like. So, the total RTS in the Batagay crater increases by about 35.3 million cubic feet per year. This volume is equal to about 400 Olympic swimming pools. But is this monstrous geological slope expanding into the depths? Fortunately, it's not. The melting of permafrost has reached bedrock and stopped, so there will be no sinkholes to the planet's bowels. Scientists also suggest that the expansion will stop sooner or later since the collapsing edges are approaching bedrock, located in the area of the nearest mountains. But before that, the hollow will probably absorb something very tasty for it. Scientists used satellite images to estimate the scale of this phenomenon. They saw that the doorway to the underworld could significantly expand thanks to absorbing the adjacent valley. This will happen over the next 2 decades. Also, there's the Batagay River on the hollow's path. A collision with the slump will change the course of the river, which will lead to increased erosion. This will cause big problems for some river and forest inhabitants. But let's hope that nature will take care of fish and animals. But the most interesting thing is that a fast-growing slump can lead to a natural phenomenon that once provoked the appearance of this slump. This is greenhouse gas emissions. Frozen sediments in the permafrost layers, nutrients hidden deep in the soil. All this will be released and will bring significant changes to the environment, such as an increase in temperature. Once, these weather changes led to the collapse of the slope on the Yana Highlands and the formation of the doorway to the underworld. The temperature here is above normal and regularly sets new records, so scientists are not surprised that the hollow is growing so fast. What can stop all this destruction? Only the return to normal weather conditions. But who knows when it'll happen? In any case, it's good that this crater is growing far from civilization. Just imagine if such a slump were moving toward a big city. People would probably be powerless and would have to evacuate urgently. And then we would have to watch a live stream from a helicopter, skyscrapers falling into a giant pit. Oh, by the way, you don't have to imagine that. A similar phenomenon is happening in California. Only instead of a giant slump, there is the Niland geyser. In simple words, this is a moving mud puddle or a moving geyser, the only one in the world. Unlike the Batagay megaslump, this lump of sludge is not that big and it will hardly expand. But it's acting much more weirdly. It's constantly moving, and no one can stop it. This mud puddle formed in 1953, about 5 miles northwest of Niland, an Imperial County, California. It was a typical mud cauldron. It formed, waited, did nothing, and then decided that it didn't care about all the geological laws, so it just went west sometime in 2007. Perhaps it happened later, but no one knows for sure. In the beginning, the puddle took its time and moved quite slowly, but in April 2018, it had accelerated. It turned out that it had passed 280 feet from the formation site. That's about 3.5 times the length of a tennis court. How does it move? And why won't anyone stop it? Oh, people tried. When the puddle began to approach the Union Pacific Railroad, engineers built a wall going into the ground to a depth of 80 feet. And you know what? The moving dirt just penetrated underground, seeped under the wall, and came back out on the other side. What is it? Where does it go? And how did it form? Scientists don't know, but there are theories. California has the Salton Sea. This is not actually a sea, but a grounded saline lake with shallow water. There are many mud cauldrons on the eastern shore of this lake. Niland geyser appeared among them and began to move. Some scientists suggest that the bedrock of this geyser is more permeable. That is, dirt and water easily seep into this geyser and make it move. This is something like a sieve that appeared as a result of frequent earthquakes. In addition, this region receives a lot of precipitation, which flows here from the Grand Canyon across the Colorado River. It also accumulates a lot of natural gases and heat from magma that flows under the Earth's interior. Add tectonic activity to this mix and you get conditions that allow a large mud puddle to move. Scientists have the pieces of the puzzle, but no one can put them together into one single picture and find the exact reason for its formation. And while the scientists were thinking, the puddle approached the Union Pacific Railroad. When the wall didn't help and the geyser continued to move, the railway management redirected trains to temporary tracks that they had built in case of an emergency with the puddle. People came up with different ways to stop the moving geyser. They tried pumping water out of the geyser, sprinkling its edges with ground, reducing pressure, and much more, but nothing worked. By August 2019, the puddle had become a threat to Highway 111. The State Transportation Department closed the road and built a bypass. This forced drivers to detour and spend an hour and a half driving around the western shore of the Salton Sea. Now, the puddle has slowed down, but everyone is waiting for what will happen next. Who would have thought? Spaceships from other galaxies, meteorites, a zombie apocalypse, global cataclysms. We imagined so many possible threats to humanity, but it turned out that a moving puddle of mud could cause huge problems. Fortunately, this doesn't frighten people living in the state. Geologists, engineers, and builders look at this phenomenon with delight. It's a miracle of nature, and people can't do anything about it. Although, if you think about it, surely something can be done. For example, dig a hole in front of the puddle and set a big fire inside it. It would be funny if the puddle puts out the fire and moves on. In any case, it's interesting to see what happens next and where it's going.
That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.